Let me mess with your brain in the best way. What if your life isn't random? What if the universe isn't sitting up there like, we should ruin his Tuesday just for fun? What if it's actually rigged in your favor? But you keep misreading the signs because your nervous system keeps labeling normal life as danger. Because that's the real game, isn't it? Most people don't fail because they aren't smart. They don't fail because they aren't capable. They fail because the moment pressure hits, their body goes, nope, we're not doing this. And then they call it lack of discipline or self-sabotage or I'm just like this. It's my personality. You're not like this. It's not your personality. You've been trained. Act as if everything always works out for you. Not as a fake smile, not as delusion, not as denial, but as an identity. Because your life doesn't follow your best intentions. Your life follows your dominant state. Your patterns don't come from what you want, they come from your system, what your system thinks is safe. So when life gets shaky, the reason you spiral isn't because you're weak, it's because your body goes into protective mode and it starts interpreting everything as proof you're behind, proof you're failing, proof you're not safe, proof you're about to lose something. And when that happens, you stop acting like life is working out for you. You start acting like life is happening to you. And that shift right there is what keeps people stuck for years, sometimes even decades. The real problem, your inner forecast. Here's the thing nobody wants to admit. Most people aren't living in reality. They're living in a forecast, a nervous system forecast. And if your forecast says something bad is coming, you will treat neutral events like a threat. You'll turn delays into doom, silence into rejection, mistakes into identity. So you don't need more motivation. You need a different inner forecast. Quick pause here. If this is already hitting you in some way or another, here's what I want you to know. If you're tired of understanding yourself, but still repeating the same patterns under pressure, that's exactly what I help people with inside my Limitless You Neuro coaching. We don't just talk about what you should do. We work with patterns that hijack you when it matters most. Stress states, shame loops, self-doubt spirals, money sabotage, overthinking, and freezing responses. So if you want help actually shifting the patterns, not just thinking about it, check the link in the description and book your free session with me. Right, let's get back to it. Why everything works out feels impossible. Your brain isn't designed for peace. It's designed for survival. Here's why act as if everything works out sounds cute and then collapses the moment your bank account drops or someone leaves you on red. Your nervous system is not built to make you happy. It's built to keep you alive. And it doesn't care if you're logically safe. It cares if you feel safe. That's why two people can experience the exact same situation. One says, I'm fine, I'll handle it. And the other says, this is the beginning of the end. The apocalypse is here. Same facts, different nervous system, different outcomes. If your nervous system is broadcasting danger, your mind will keep dragging you back to, but what if it doesn't work out? And then you start bargaining with life. You start begging for signs. You start trying to control the how, which is basically the nervous system saying, I do not trust. The hidden trap. You're loyal to the wrong story. Let's get brutally honest. Some people say they want things to work out, but their identity is built on expecting things to go wrong, because expecting disaster feels safer than hoping and being disappointed. So they're living in pre-disappointment, pre-rejection, pre-failure, pre-loss. They call it being realistic. No, that's fear with a LinkedIn profile. And it creates a life where things don't work out, not because the universe hates them, because their system keeps making choices from the assumption I'm not safe. I worked with someone who's so smart, high performing, good heart, who lived like this. Every time something good happened, they couldn't enjoy it. They'd say things like, "This is just too good to be true. Something bad is coming." A promotion? Yeah, but now I'll mess it up. A new relationship? Yeah, but they'll leave me once they finally get to know me. Money comes in? Yeah, but it will just disappear again. And it wasn't because they were negative. It was because their body had learned good things don't last. So their nervous system stayed on guard. And when you live on guard, you make guarded based decisions. You pull back, you overthink, you test people, you delay, you self sabotage quietly, then blame yourself or even them for it. So when I told them, let's try living like it works out, their first response was, that feels irresponsible. That's how you know it's a pattern. Peace feels irresponsible to the system trained in survival. What act as if really means? It's not pretending, it's selecting a state. Let's make this simple. Act as if everything works out for you does not mean ignore reality, avoid decisions, fake positivity. It means you choose the state you operate from. You stop letting your state be dictated by your mood, your inbox, your ex, your boss, your bank account, or the tone of someone's message. You decide, I will not let fear lead, because here's the scary truth. You can be right in your fear and still ruin your life. The two futures, default future versus chosen future. This is one of the biggest coaching truths. If you don't choose your future, you get a default future. A default future is what happens when you stay in the same state. Same reactions, same coping mechanisms, same avoidance, same people pleasing, same procrastination, same money impulses, same shame loops. Default future is more of the same. Chosen future is what happens when you say, I will act like it works out, and I'll take aligned action from that state. And yes, sometimes that means making bold moves, because when you truly believe life is working out for you, you stop clinging to what's killing you. Let me give you a real world example. Someone I worked with had what they would call a setback. They lost something. They were sure they would need an opportunity, a connection, a plan. At first, it looked like failure, but the loss forced a detour. They changed direction, met different people, got exposed to a better path, found a version of themselves that would never have emerged otherwise. Later, they said, if that didn't happen, I would have stayed small and comfortable. That's what everything works out looks like in real time. It doesn't look like fireworks. It looks like a closed door, a delay, a rejection, and then clarity. And if you can't trust the detour, you'll start trying to force all doors open. That's where people waste years. The real enemy, shame plus control. Why people can't trust it's working out. The reason people can't trust life is usually not logic, it's shame. Shame says if things go wrong, it proves something about me. So you start controlling everything to avoid that feeling. And control looks like overthinking, perfectionism, procrastinating, people pleasing, playing small, not posting that video you worked so hard on, not applying, not starting, not committing, not risking. Because the risk isn't failure. The risk is the shame story you attach to failure. The perfectionist who never missed and never lived. I worked with someone who looked incredibly successful. From the outside, you'd think, wow, they've got everything together. But inside, they lived like they were one mistake away from being exposed. They didn't rest, they didn't celebrate, they didn't enjoy because their identity depended on performance. So when anything uncertain happened, their system screamed, fix it, control it, don't let it collapse. And here's what changed everything. They didn't need more affirmations. They needed to stop treating uncertainty like a character assassination. They needed the identity shift. I can handle what happens. And that's one of the most powerful forms of act as if. Because acting as if life works out for you doesn't mean nothing goes wrong. It means even if something goes wrong, I'm still okay. That's real power. How your inner state creates outer momentum. Act as if changes your behavior first. Let's talk practical for 1 second. When you believe things work out, you believe differently. You take the call, send the message, post the content, apply for the job, show up consistently. Stop chasing people who don't choose you. Stop negotiating with your worth. Stop waiting for perfect timing. Stop micromanaging everything. You become the type of person who makes outcomes more likely, not because you manifested, because you stopped acting like a scared person trying to control life. Example, the meeting, the presentation, the eyes on me movement. Let's make this vivid. You're about to walk into a high stakes situation. If your inner state is something's going to go wrong, you'll show it, you'll rush it, you'll over-explain, you'll talk too fast, you'll forget your points, you'll interpret natural faces as judgment. But if your state is, this is working out for me, you show up differently, slower, clearer, more grounded, more persuasive, more present. And people feel that. They may not even know why they trust you, but they do, because your state is communicating louder than your words. The 80-20 rule, reframe the overclaim. Here's a helpful way to understand why this matters. A huge amount of what your brain decides is based on what it's getting from the body, your nervous system, signals of safety or danger. So if your body's in threat mode, your brain will generate threat stories. If your body's in safety mode, your brain can generate creative, solution-based thinking. That's why act as if isn't a trick mindset. It's a state shift. It's you choosing to stop letting threat run your life. The real meaning of everything works out. Let's define works out, because this is where people get cynical. It works out exactly as you wanted. Sometimes, yes, great. It works out differently, but better for who you're becoming. This is the most common one. It works out because it forces your growth. Even if it hurts, even if you didn't ask for it, you can accept that life is shaping you, not punishing you. You stop resisting every inconvenience like it's a personal attack. And this is where peace comes from. Not because life is perfect, because your meaning is stable. One of the clearest examples is relationships. People think a breakup means I failed. But sometimes a breakup is the universe saying that version of you was shrinking. And later, after the grief clears, they realize they started showing up differently. They learned boundaries. They rebuilt self-worth. They stopped chasing crumbs. They didn't just move on, they evolved. And from that place, they attract differently. That's everything works out. Not as a fairy tale, as a complete rebuild. The line you live by. Here's the sentence that changes the whole game. Even if I can't see it yet, this is part of it working out. Not because you're naive, because you understand something most people don't. Your nervous system will try to interpret uncertainty as danger, but you are not your nervous system. You are the one training it. So you choose the state. If you take nothing else from this, you haven't been stuck because you're broken. You've been stuck because your inner system learned to protect danger. So you acted like danger was coming. The moment you start moving like it's working out, you become a different person. And different people make different choices. And different choices create beautifully different lives. If you're ready to stop living in the default future, same patterns, same spirals, same stuckness, and you want help shifting your state so change actually sticks, I want you to book a free session with me in the link. The link is in the description down below. I'll help you to figure out what's really running your old patterns and what it's costing you. Then we'll look at how to rebuild your nervous system so you'll have a new identity that actually attracts the life you want. And remember, you don't need proof to start trusting. Sometimes trusting is what creates the proof you need. Thank you so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Cheers.